I track the financial market since we embarked on our Bitcoin strategy. So here is what's happened since August 10th, 2020, when we adopted Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Bitcoin is up 65%. MicroStrategy stock, and MicroStrategy's bought 3.9, almost $4 billion, not quite, but nearly $4 billion of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy stock is up 66%. So we are tracking slightly ahead of Bitcoin. The S&P is up 14%. The NASDAQ is up 4%. Whoa, 4%. All of big tech is up 4%. Gold is down 18%. And, bonds, the ultra safe bonds, long-term bonds, down 18%.
Oof.
So in terms of asset classes, the crazy volatile Bitcoin is the best performing of all those major assets. And then you can say to yourself, well, I'm just going to invest in stocks. Okay, let's look at big tech. Google's up 37%, Apple's up 32%, Microsoft's up 16%, Amazon is down 22%, Facebook is down 45%, and Netflix is down 52%. Okay, little MicroStrategy, no one ever heard of, up 66%. Would you have guessed that a mid-sized software company, low growth mid-sized software company nobody ever heard of, would outperform Google in the last 2 years by a factor of 2? Profound paradigm shift. And the thing that hits you about a paradigm shift is it's such an out of the blue idea that no one can conceive of why you would even want it. So, it took a while before people thought maybe radio waves have a place, right? Or maybe electricity has a place in the world, and why would I want a railroad? But I think now we're staring at this paradigm shift of digital energy. And why would I want to move a block of $1 billion of something from point A to point B through cyberspace in a split second with instant final settlement, right? Initially, if you roll the clock back a decade, we didn't have it. Every financial crisis we've had, right, in the history of the world, and we've had 10,000 of them. There have been 10,000 currency collapses, from the Lydians to the Athenians to the Spartans to the Romans to the Venetians, to the Brits multiple times, to the Carthaginians. You could just go on, and the Persians, and go on and on and on and on. And the history is full of examples of an empire rises, someone mints a currency, the successors or the children of the conqueror debase the currency, the grandchildren debase it more, the great-grandchildren forget how they actually got the power, they spend everything, go wacky crazy. Pretty soon the economy collapses, you can't pay your soldiers, they all defect, and the barbarians come over the gate and they take everything, including your debased gold. They melt it down, they purify it, they mint their own coin, and the cycle starts again. Fleeman dug up ancient Troy. He dug up like 19 ancient Troys. He found 19 cities buried under each city. Everybody said, good place to build a city. They would build it. They would rise over a couple hundred years. They would crash and burn. 200 years would go by, someone else comes along and says, wow, good place to build a city. We do it again. We do it again. We do it again. That's the history of money. And that's the history of economics. Along comes Satoshi, and we've got the white paper, and, January 3rd, 2009, we launched this little monetary virus or this idea virus. And it kind of burns very, very low level for a while, and people aren't sure of it. It's a gimmicky thing, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and waiting for, well, why would you need it? And, you had to be a visionary to kind of need it or get it. If you lived in Argentina and your currency collapsed, and you remember the currency collapsing, or if you lived in North Korea, or if you lived in Africa and your currency collapsed, and you watched your family get wiped out, then maybe you get it. But, that wasn't the mainstream, right? The Western world is not run by people that lost their family's life savings in Africa or South America. So it was It was an interesting idea, but it was a fringe idea until 2020. And in 2020, the monetary inflation rate tripled in the US. And what we saw was in the world's best economies, you're losing 15 to 20% of your economic value in the currency every year. In the second tier economies, you're losing 30% or more. Like the Japanese yen is down 24% against the dollar in the last 12 months, right? And in the tertiary economies, you're losing 50, 60, 70% of the value in the currency. And that's where you get a Sri Lanka, where literally the entire government collapses, or where you what you're seeing going on in Africa and Zimbabwe right now, or famously in Lebanon, where people have been breaking into banks, taking people hostage to get their own money back.